Okay, so we head back to Mutaba Town, where we kick off the final clash between Phaser and Yudias, where we see a lot of wild things happening during this episode. From Yugioh being a badass and just taking the stairs, to Phaser transforming into a majestic dragon. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're here to talk all things episode 63 of the Yugioh Go Rush anime series, where we have a few things to discuss, so let's hop right into it, starting off with the topic of Phaser. First and foremost, Phaser's underhanded strategy, in where if he takes damage, he'll set the aliens free, quite extremely, but then if Yudias takes damage, she will release them into the town, making it so the public learn of their existence. I thought this was top-level villain behavior. Add in all of those smug faces that he had throughout the episode as well, and I'm really starting to see Phaser as more of an antagonist. Ultimately though, his plan doesn't work, as the people of Mutaba Town are pretty chill and cool when it comes to the topic of aliens, thanks to the actions of UTS. Now, this makes sense, as if you remember, Mutaba Town went to space in Season 1, and at the center of all of the conflict that they came across was UTS. Plus, during the time that they were in space, they had aliens helping them out in many different situations. We do also get a little bit more lore about the previous UTS owner, in how they wished to have a world in where humans and aliens could coexist and live side by side. Now, I think the key thing here is that Phaser misjudged the reaction of the people, which this misjudgment could actually add another layer to the secret that Phaser has been keeping. Obviously, the big reveal was Phaser turning into a dragon. Now, this was hinted at a few times within this arc already, more notably when they were in the Mutaba mansion and we saw lots of dragon statues and paintings surrounding them. However, I think the added layer to the secret could actually be that Phaser and Tremolo are not from this timeline. In fact, I think they're from a distant past. Because in episode 42, we learned that the space dragons have mostly, or if not, become completely extinct. So seeing within Tremolo's flashback, and pairing that with the time travel theme that we've had throughout this arc so far, and Phaser's hatred for aliens, I can see a situation where in Phaser's original timeline, there was a situation of them being children and helpless, witnessing aliens attacking, or killing, or even abducting their parents, thus creating this cycle of hatred that Phaser has towards aliens and why he wants them all rid of, and sees them as a lesser being. Now, the misstep in his plan to make the public hate and be scared of aliens can also tie into his original timeline, as UTS would not have been so influential. Thus, Phaser was right to assume that all humans are clueless and afraid of aliens. Now, looking at this dragon form, it does look really cool, I'll give him that. And of course, very reminiscent of the statue seen in the Mutaba mansion. It would be interesting to see how the duel continues moving forward. Will it be the case of the dragon holding the duel disc, like we see Yugioh do when he fuses himself with Requiem? My only issue is that the hands and arms on the dragon look rather small. Now, moving on to Yudias, I like seeing how we're getting some small examples of how both Yuga and Yudias are very similar. Both are obviously way too kind for their own good, but at the same time, they have a tendency to blame themselves for situations that are completely out of their control, / just not their own fault. Yuga was feeling down and guilty about how nothing has changed in the future when he returned, despite introducing rush duels early on in the past. Where Yudias here is thinking that everything that's happened since his return to Mutaba Town is his fault, which is a lie. Even without Yudias, Yuru would have still tried to take down MIK. Yuga would still be a cat / a card, and every one of his friends would have followed suit shortly after. The only things that might be different had Yudias never returned would be that Manabu would successfully have joined UTS after turning on MIK, Tremolo would be free and not imprisoned at this moment in time, and Yuumu would have used the maximum instead, which I don't think would have benefited her very much. Also, the scene with Yudias thinking about all of his friends. Has Yudias seen Yuga without his mask on? Maybe when he was given the cards, like in that very beginning flashback. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit odd because I don't remember Yudias seeing Yuga without, in his red jacket like that. Anyways, with the added layer of Danamu now being inside of Yudias, I think this was a way to set up for Danamu to secretly give Yudias the 3 Neko protagonist cards, thus giving him a small and sneaky advantage over Phaser. After all, Ranran has been the MVP of this arc so far, but it was smart that they didn't make her return here to help Yudias, as this would have only caused issues down the line. And I think there's something more that Ranran has to do as part of her plan and strategy. Like, for example, she's being chased by Kopigo. So let's see if that materializes into anything. And speaking of characters that need to do something, where the hell is Rovian? A little random idea. Remember in the I think it was second arc, where Rovian was trying to buy UTS off of UTS. She offered them a item, like a really weird Matrix item. I wonder if that's going to help our protagonist become human again and return from card 4. I would love it if they brought that back. That would be awesome. I really liked the UTS inclusion here within this episode. Seeing all the characters return as well, like Ninshaw returning, that was very unexpected. And I don't really know how this space that he creates when thinking makes Phaser suddenly lose control and transform into a dragon. So hopefully they'll explain that in the next episode. But having Shushuha return makes a lot of sense, as he's a dragon buster and we have a dragon problem that needs busting. And I think Shushuha would also give us some more lore and exposition on these majestic creatures, while also helping Yudias out if Phaser decides to get physical. Not like that. Plus, we have Nandastar back, and she's the missing link to our cat situation. So there's still a lot to unpack and unravel and learn as we head into the final episode of this arc. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this great episode of the Go Rush anime series. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this duel will conclude and whether or not Phaser will be redeemed. Personally, I hope he doesn't, but I can't actually see the show allowing Shuhuha to kill him off, or eat him, or make him into fuel for some sort of spacecraft. I think that'll be a bit too, let's just say, non-kid friendly for the show of Yu-Gi-Oh! But let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, hit that like button, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Alligator, matane, goodbye.